Good morning, it's Chris at the Quilter's Nook, and we're back to our Tuesday demos. And today we are going to talk about the log cabin technique sheet, traditional log cabin. This is a great technique sheet to use to make any different size log cabins that you want. There's 4 different sizes listed on the sheet, but that doesn't mean you need to stick with those. And here is an example of a nice log cabin that I did, and everything is nice and square. And with this technique, it's the trimming that makes all the difference. So let me show you how this technique works. So we're going to be using the Tucker Trimmer 1 just for the size of block that I'm using. If you're making a bigger block, Tucker Trimmer 3 will work it just as well. So we're going to start off with our center squares, and the technique sheet tells you what size to make those. And you can just chain piece all the way through. This whole process is great for chain piecing. So you're going to put your center squares onto your first log, and you're going to sew. We're always pressing to the log, and you need to keep the logs at the top of your work surface. For the first round only, we're going to trim on both sides of your center square. Okay, and all we're doing is trimming off that log. So we're going to trim there. And I like to turn it around just because I'm right-handed. And if you see, I'm putting a line here on my strip so that I can keep everything nice and square as well. Okay. So you end up with all of your center squares, and they're nice and trimmed. Now you're going to add these to your second log. Add your second log on here. So if you will take this piece and flip it down, this is the newest piece that you're adding to your strip. So I've added it to my strip, that newest piece closest to me. Sew them all down your strip, press to the log, and this time we are only going to trim on the right-hand side. Okay, get that nice and even. That's all the trimming you have to do. We're going to trim all this when we get done with our first round. So we have this round done. Then we're going to add our second group of logs. So again, start here, flip it upside down. That makes the newest log closest to you. My second round is red, or my second color is red. So I put this on a strip, sewed it. Again, we're going to press to the log, and we're going to trim on the right-hand side. Then we're going to add our last round, excuse me, our last log for this round. Again, you've had the log at the top, turn it face down, and then you're going to just sew those on all the way down your last strip. Pressing to the log. This time we're just going to cut them apart. So if you've had them laid out, let's see, where'd my other log go? Here we go. So if we had these, say we had these all put together, all you're going to do is just cut them apart. We don't need to square anything up, trim on any side. We're just going to leave this all raw. And here's where the Tucker trimmer comes in really handy. Normally, you would just kind of square this up, keep adding logs, and eventually things are going to get wonky. But with the Tucker trimmer, you're going to take your common diagonal across one diagonal of your center square and one of the sizing guidelines across the other diagonal. In my case, I'm using the 2.5 inch sizing guide and my common diagonal. So we're going to set that on there. Just so, and wiggle him around till he's where he needs to be. common diagonal is going from one corner to the opposite corner, and your 2.5 inch sizing guide is going through that corner. That's keeping your center square straight. So now we're going to trim up and across. Turn it around. And since mine is 2.5, I'm going to use the 2.5 inch square up lines on the outside edge of my block. And again, you can see that the diagonals are running corner to corner. That's what we want to see. And we're going to trim up and across. Oops, sorry. And you have round one of a perfectly squared up block. Now, we're going to add some more rounds. And we always want the newest piece that we put on closest to you. So, here is my squared up block. And my newest piece is down here. Add it to my log. And just chain stitch all the way down with your good 1/4 inch. Press to the log. And since we're basically starting over again, this has all been trimmed up. Your first trim is going to be on both sides. This is the only time we do this. Get that up there so we can square him up. Because this is what we did with the first round, if you'll remember. We had to have straight sides on both sides of our square because we're going to be adding logs all the way around and we want this square. Okay, so we've added that. Turn it over, add our next log, and keep going. And you're going to end up with 4 more rounds. Okay? This is what we did initially. We added our 4 logs, and now it's time to trim again. So mine this time tells me to use the 3.5 inch guideline. So I'm going to put the common diagonal through here. And my 3.5 is going to go corner to corner here, like such. And we're going to trim. Turn it all the way around. We're going to square it to 3.5. Again, all of your lines are going through your center square. That's what keeps everything nice and straight for you. So now I have a log cabin block with 2 rounds of logs. You can continue to add logs, as many as you want, to get it the size that you want. And that's how this is going to work. So as long as you have a Tucker trimmer tool, all you need to get is this technique sheet, and it will give you all the information, show you how to do the trimming. Everything's on this sheet, okay? And you can make fabulous log cabins like these. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. And next week, we are going to go through the curvy log cabin technique sheet. Have a good day.